Suresh Krishna Prabhu.
Dandavad Maharaj, Dandavad dear devotees. Yes, we're here. Some devotees are in the kitchen washing the pots. We just finished prasadam seva. We just finished, and I will switch into Russian. I will speak Russian. Да, и как Ударом Прабhu прислал нас
And as Udaran
снежный день,
sent,
очень рады вас
we have a
приветствовать
snow day,
здесь.
and we're very happy to welcome you to our Gaur Nityananda Giriraj Bari.
Dandavad Paramananda Prabhu.
Dandavat Paramananda Prabhu.
Maharaj, несколько тем, но
Maharaj, a few topics. But the first one I would like to ask, could you please share remembrance of Vaishnava Maharaj, Shuta Shrava Prabhu?
Был день его ухода.
2nd of January was his disappearance day.
Очень, она знаковая личность. Я просто
And
помню,
this is a
когда
very
присоединился
important
к нам
personality for me.
к читанию Сарасват Мат.
When I just joined SES Mod,
Первую историю
the first story of a disappearance of a Vaishnava, I read about Vaishnava Maharaj, how it happened, and it touched me very much. And what I remember is, as he's leaving the body, he is surrounded by the family, and he
обезболивающих для того, чтобы его сознание было ясным.
And he decided not to take painkillers so his consciousness would be clear. And everyone started singing kirtan, and with a smile on his face, he left. And this was what I heard when I just joined. And by reading that story, I understand that this journey is something unusual. If people are leaving with a smile on their face, then that thing has a lot of value. So, but perhaps you and Paramananda Prabhu can share about this personality.
Well, I'm wondering where you read that. I mean, because I haven't actually heard that detail that you gave just now. Can you say what the source was?
Это было harikrishna.ru сайт.
It was harikrishna.ru, the website.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know about those details of that very last time, and it may be that some of the family have been talking maybe with Avadut Maharaj or others there in Russia. What I can say for sure, that having gone to Russia and gone to Ukraine, then we can say that Sripad Vaishnava Maharaj, who we actually know as Shruta Shrava Prabhu. I never met him as a sannyasi. That was the very last part of his life. But that he's so much appreciated throughout the Russian-speaking world. And he traveled extensively, even with poor health. And he went to, various places, but I know Tomsk and different places over there in Siberia. And wherever I went in Russia, basically, I would hear his glories being chanted. Oh, Shruta Shrava Prabhu is here. And then they're telling about his activities and pastimes. So I don't know the detail at that point that you are describing, but Paramananda Prabhu may do. And both of us have a little idea of before the actual disappearance of Shruta Shrava Prabhu. But Paramananda Prabhu can give you very first hand, because he was in correspondence with him up until just a few hours before he disappeared. He was on his way to Thailand. He was on his way to start a preaching tour when this happened. So one expression comes to mind from me that Srila Gurudev liked this expression. I believe it's Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, who said he wanted to die in harness, like a horse that's harnessed, ready to work. Then I want to die in harness and not to be like retired and just pass away peacefully, as it were. So this was his nature, and indeed he did die in harness. And I had news the day that, a few hours before he passed away, but it wasn't direct correspondence with him. And actually, the news I got was that he's going to just going to go into the hospital for some minor operation or something minor to relieve his current situation. Then he'll still be continuing on his tour. Now, I don't know the exact details, what happened after that, but I think we can pass the microphone over to Paramananda Prabhu. But just before that, we would like to say, first of all, obeisances to all of the devotees and all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, because we do want to start remembering that everything is the glories of Sri Guru and Gauranga, and we are here by their grace connected with something very special. And Shruta Prabhu, Vaishnava Maharaj, he is one of the evidences of that, if you like, that sometimes we need to know somebody or need to have some experience with devotees who have disappeared from the world, but we know that they've gone into a special destination, and to be rejoined with Guru and the Parampara, the direct current there. So Paramananda, could I humbly ask you could fill in some missing parts to the disappearance of Vaishnava Maharaj. And if you know about his actual disappearance, the time of his going, etc., that would be something I'd be certainly interested to hear, because except for this, I haven't heard quite this same news report, as it were.
Maharaj, I wasn't there by his bedside when he disappeared. And just to start from, we had a BBBC meeting this morning, and we also extensively touched on the subject. So if you want to hear more, you can visit the BBBC recording on the Facebook, I believe, to hear devotees glorifying Sripad Vaishnava Maharaj or Srila Prabhu. And yes, I do not know. I mean, that day I heard a different account of his passing. And things may change. You know how the pastimes of the Vaishnavas can be seen from a different perspectives, from different angles, and it's in the eye of the beholders. So let's leave it, and we can say, quoting Srila Govinda Maharaj, everything is possible. And so I cannot say how he died, but I can say a little bit about how he lived. And that is actually a wonderful example. And today, Vaishnava Maharaj was described as a one-of-a-kind person. And no doubt he was certainly one-of-a-kind person.
It wasn't me who said that.
One-of-a-kind is a good description, Maharaj, really.
Okay.
In many different ways.
Mm.
And as you perhaps already know, he was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who later joined Srila Guru Maharaj in Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, and he developed very close and very intimate relationship with Srila Govinda Maharaj, with whom he spent most of his time by his side. And I think Madhusudan Maharaj can confirm that. He is the eyewitness of his presence in Navadvip with Srila Govinda Maharaj on many occasions. And it's difficult to think where to start, because really he was quite a personality, and Maharaj witnessed many things, and I witnessed many things. He was my good friend, and I was very fortunate to have him for a friend. And we witnessed how Srila Govinda Maharaj trusted him wholeheartedly, wanted him to be by his side all the time, as much as possible, because really it wasn't possible for him. He was a family man to be there 24/7, 365. But he tried his best, and really his his aspiration was always to be with Srila Govinda Maharaj, despite his responsibilities for the family. And I think he had how many kids? 8, Maharaj? 8 or 9?
Yes, eight or nine, yeah.
Quite a number. Good kids, devotee kids. Really, and Srila Govinda Maharaj loved quite a few from that group dearly. Well, Shugi comes to mind because really that was clearly indicated by Srila Govinda Maharaj. To me, how dear one of his sons to him, and his wife Sanatani Didi. So he had that responsibility, family responsibility. And sometimes he would go back to the United States from Navadvip or Calcutta, wherever he was, wherever Govinda Maharaj was, spending time with him. And he needed some time to just go and make some money just to maintain family himself. And he would live for a few months, and he wouldn't hesitate to take a very tough job as a truck driver. And that's what he always quote, I'm just a truck driver, what do I know? So he would take that job and drive a truck from East Coast to West Coast and West Coast to the East Coast for a couple of months and make enough money that he would leave some money to the family. And then again, he would travel to be with Srila Govinda Maharaj for a few months. One time, there was some humorous exchange with Srila Govinda Maharaj. I was in Calcutta. He had this habit of traveling through Bangkok, where I was stationed at that time. And he would always stop there and spend some time with me. And then he will just force me, literally force me, like twist my hand to go to see Srila Govinda Maharaj, for which I'm eternally grateful to him, because I would always find thousands of reasons not to go, but he will just dismiss all of them. And literally, I mean, he wasn't joking. He said, I'm going to buy your ticket. If you're not doing it, I'm buying your ticket. I may spend my last money, but I'm happy to do that. So that would push me over the edge. I was like, okay, I'm coming. So he would pick me up, or sometime I travel a few days later, then he would pick me up in the airport in Calcutta and take me to Srila Govinda Maharaj. So one time we were there, just two of us, and Gopal, one of the servitors of Srila Govinda Maharaj, was having a discussion with him about some date on the Vaishnava calendar. And there was some intricacies involved. Something was not as usual, needed some understanding of the some subtleties. And as they were discussing, and Vaishnava Maharaj, he understood Bengali. He spoke some Bengali, and he probably read even better Bengali than he spoke. Then he filled in and he supplied the answer to Srila Govinda Maharaj, which surprised him so much. He looked in astonishment and said, and he said to Gopal, and since I was there, he said in English, he said, look, this Mlecha knows so much, way more than this Brahmin boy from Navadvip. How astonishing is that? So anyway, it was a joking way for Srila Govinda Maharaj to point that out. Not that he considered him a Mlecha, but just making a point to a Brahmin boy who did not know anything, but that was readily supplied by Shuddha Prabhu. He was also known to be quite a great Pandit, also indicated by Srila Govinda Maharaj. He said that he knows much, but he is not proud of it. And we could see on many occasions when Srila Govinda Maharaj would forget a line or was searching for a particular verse to complement his point he was making during his conversations with the devotees. Quite often, Srila Vaishnava Maharaj would supply that. Or sometimes Govinda Maharaj would just have a word out of the shloka, and then immediately Vaishnava Maharaj would supply that verse. Really, it was quite astonishing, but he did it with such humility always. Sometimes you can hear, if you listen to Srila Govinda Maharaj's recording, quite often you would hear that. Humbly, not immediately. He's giving some time to Srila Govinda Maharaj to remember, but when our time is ripe, then he would supply that. And sometimes he would also complement the particular mood of Srila Govinda Maharaj, which was more intimate surrounding, not during the public talks, which I also witnessed on several occasions during the later shifts in Thailand, especially when Srila Govinda Maharaj would wake up quite late. I mean, for us it was late at night, but for him it was, I guess, early morning. So I was present a couple of times only. And he was in a particular contemplative mood, and he was talking about Guru Maharaj, or sometimes he was talking about some Shastric point, and then he would just supply those verses to complement that mood, which gives so much satisfaction to Srila Govinda Maharaj. Really, it was wondrous to witness that kind of exchange, and understood and helped me to understand his position as well a little bit. Like sometimes we're saying we do not know with whom we're sharing a cup of garam jal sometimes. Who are they? What is their purpose? What is their position? And how dear they are to our Guru Varga. So we have to be quite careful and not to show excessive familiarity with such personalities, even though, like in his own words, he liked to say, I don't like to pull a rank on anyone. Basically, even though I'm a senior by definition, I'm a senior Vaishnava, and I know so much. I mean, I just want to be a friend of everyone, and if I can be of service, I'm happy to be of service. And I was remembering this story when he was a president in Sokel Ashram. There was one devotee who did not really behave suitably for the ashram environment, so Srila Prabhu was forced to ask him to leave, but that devotee had nowhere to go, really nowhere to go. It was a little bit sudden for him too, but really it was impossible for him to stay. So he said, Prabhu, you must leave. And he said, oh, but where will I go? I mean, I have nothing here. I came from far away. He said, well, you cannot stay in the ashram for unknown reasons, but you can come to my house and we will take care of you. You can stay with me. And at that time, his house was very small. And then that devotee stayed there for more than a month. And Srila Prabhu was quite happy to reach that kind of settlement. And this morning I was also mentioning how Srila Govinda Maharaj was so astonished to see his editing of Bengali. Now, again, think about it. He's an American devotee, American person, growing up in that environment. And at some point, this service came to him, which was quite astonishing by itself. But I'm pretty sure he sort of volunteered, and Govinda Maharaj gave him that service to edit a Bengali version of Chaitanya Charitamrita from our mat. And he did so. And he did it so well that Govinda Maharaj, and I witnessed that, over several days he was reading that book and asked him, is there any mistakes? How is it? And Govinda Maharaj said, it is astonishing, Prabhu. How did Shrutashravan did it? I do not know. It's a miracle. And really, that reminded me that verse, Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate gurim. The one who is fully surrendered to Guru, by the grace of Guru, for him everything becomes possible. And he was also a perfect example of one who was very loyal and very chaste to his spiritual masters. And again, not to forget, he was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, and Srila Govinda Maharaj. I haven't seen many personalities with that kind of qualities, and appreciated by Srila Govinda Maharaj so much. So yes, and he went to Russia, and instantly he became very popular amongst the devotees because, like I said, he never pulled a rank on anyone. He was very accessible for the devotees. He would share prasadam with everybody. He was always available for any questions, any help. And help means literally like physical help as well. If anything needed, clean the pots, throw the garbage. I mean, Shrutashravan volunteered first. that kind of personality. And of course, it also knowing Shastra, also understanding the mood of our Guru Varga, sharing that mood and sharing what he learned from them. That was another quality of his. And no wonder he became so much loved by the Russian devotees wherever he traveled. And I know someone, like I literally know that person quite well, who said that she was attracted. Her first connection with Krishna consciousness happened from seeing Srila Prabhu on a street in Ukraine leading kirtan. And his personality, and imagine this person, this is the first time for her to ever see the devotees. And then she saw Srila Prabhu leading the Harinam. And that's just captured her. And she became a devotee. Govinda Maharaj disciple. So that kind of personality you can see from whatever small description I can provide. And so many wonderful stories and so many memories are there, but the time is short and I don't want to take too much of it. And we would be blessed to hear from Srila Madhusudan Maharaj on that subject.
Well, first I can just mention to Hari Gopal Prabhu, because he's translating, and he had a quick question, which is, what does this mean? Not to pull rank on someone. And so it's an English expression, means that oh, I am superior to you, you listen to me, this kind of thing. And pulling rank means, like in an army, you've got different ranks in the army. So everyone junior must listen to who is senior. So just to make that point, so Hari Gopal Prabhu translated it correctly. Okay, got double thumbs up from Hari Gopal Prabhu. I'm sure you got the essence of it. Anyway, yes, actually, Paramananda's pretty much summed up the publicly available life of Shuta Prabhu. He really was a special devotee, was I quoted as saying that earlier, a unique person, and really loved by everyone, and at the same time, I mean, strict. He said what he thought, and when something was wrong, he was not afraid to say that it was wrong. And some of you may have heard some of our kind of expressions that we very much remember from Sruta Prabhu, who became Vaishnava Maharaj later. And one of those was that in Navadip, then he and I, in Navadip and in Calcutta, we were often just he and I together with Gurudev. And especially in the later months, 2 or 3 years, when Srila Gurudev's health is poor, we were kind of one of the teams who would stay with Gurudev. Anything's needed at all, then we are there together. And he had been massaging Gurudev's legs after lunch, and Gurudev would rest just like Krishna and Balaram do. Sing the song Bhajabhakata Vatsala Shri Gora Hari, and you will see the beautiful pastimes of the Lord and his devotees. And so Srila Gurudev, he was always up early, very early in the morning. For him to wake up at 5 a.m. means he has severely slept in. You know, this morning I woke up at 5. And then devotees think, oh, he woke up at 5 so early. But Gurudev is expressing, I woke up at 5 so late. So he really was an early person in the morning. And then it is natural, after lunch, a little rest. And Shuta Prabhu, that time Shuta Prabhu, then he's been gently massaging Srila Gurudev, and then the Gurudev resting nicely, and then he quietly walks around the corner part where we had our little temporary office kind of thing, and then he whispered to me, he said, I am from the Bronx, which is, a tough area of New York, or beside New York, somewhere there. I am from the Bronx. I don't fear anybody except one person. That man, what I fear, one person one word of disapproval from this old man on the bed around the corner. That was his way of putting it. But really, he was from the Bronx, and it's not just a badge, I'm from the Bronx. He was a tough, very tough personality. And he didn't fear anybody, and he'd had lots of experiences in the world, which is another matter. But really, from his heart, he is saying that. But we fear one word of disapproval from Srila Gurudev. And that's illustrating too Srila Gurudev's nature. One particular glance from him, a glance of disapproval, was like an arrow, like a spear. And a word of disapproval, you say a thunderbolt, something more than a spear. But many, many interactions like this, and he was very open, but humble. You can say a contradiction in some terms. Humble, but assertive. And you can think that's a little bit the Kshatriya kind of nature, in the sense of, a Kshatriya is humble. Arjuna is humble, coming to Krishna, and he's very humbly asking, but he's a warrior. He's not then going to do his duty by just saying, oh, dear person, here I am, shoot me, I'm not going to hurt you. He's a warrior, so he's assertive and he's humble. This is nature of Arjuna, the Kshatriyas. And it's not that any of us in this age are, Kshatriya, Brahman, etc. We're all born Sudras. This is written in the scripture. In Kali Yuga, then everyone is born as a Sudra, and they have to come to show whatever other qualities they may have by quality, not by birth. Anyhow, he was also a dear friend, and we knew him for many years. I only knew him from the association of Guru Maharaj and Gurudev. And I had the service to welcome him, he and one other devotee. They were arriving in the mat, and maybe 1983, maybe, his wife can say, Sanatani would be able to say. But, maybe it wasn't, maybe it was. Anyway, in the 1980s, during Srila Gurudev's time, Srila Guru Maharaj's presence in the world, direct presence in the world, then we got news without internet and without functioning telephones, but the news came through somehow or another, as it would come, that Shuta Prabhu would be arriving in the afternoon, but not in time for lunch, to save lunch for him. So therefore, to save lunch for him and the other devotee, who I need to just double confirm who it was, but I'm pretty sure I know who it was. But Shuta Prabhu was the main person. Like, we have an important devotee coming, but he'll be late for lunch, please. You welcome him, settle him into his room, etc., and supply lunch. And that was the first time I met him, with Srila Guru Maharaj present, greeting him, serving him prasadam, which at that time was on the little raised area outside near the kitchen, a little bit down from the kitchen. And so I remember that very well. And then bringing him means seeing the right time for Guru Maharaj to meet with him, and then bringing Prabhu to Srila Guru Maharaj. And so actually that's my first meeting with Shuta Prabhu. And then after that, many meetings by the grace of Gurudev, by the grace of Guru Maharaj, we were able to have his association. And we do have many stories. Hare Krishna. What can I say? I can.
Yeah, it's good to remember.
Every devotee is different, and I'm sure every one of you are different. In fact, I know you're all different. And sometimes There are like outstanding personalities. And Shruta Prabhu was one of those. Humble, yet strong, very capable, unassuming. And another point
Meaning?
made earlier today was he would, if he said he will do something, he will do it. That kind of nature person. And we saw that repeatedly.
Maharaj, I can add in connection of dying in harness, which he really liked it's just, it's resonated with him so much. So when he passed away, he was literally on the way to the airport, but something happened and then he was taken to the hospital. And then, well, Krishna had different plans going, the Maharaj had different plans for him. But he was going for his second Asian tour, which I have arranged by then. And really, he was very inspired and he wanted to see Srila Govinda Maharaj's Samadhi. He wanted to come to Navadvip first, and then Thailand, then China, then Japan. That was the plan. And on the way, thinking about that, thinking that he will give his last, whatever left in his body, in the service to Srila Gurudev and our Guru Varga, he left this world. And this is why I was saying that he actually did what he aspired for and appreciated so much, that saying, dying in harness, not taking break, practically not taking time for himself. And I asked him, why don't you, take some time off? I mean, take care of your body. He said, actually, you shouldn't think that I have a dead wish. I don't have a dead wish. I'm actually hoping that something will help me extend my life so that I can have an association of the devotees more and I can serve more. But what to do? I mean, I'm in the hands of the Lord. So I'm just putting my faith in his hands, in the hands of Srila Govinda Maharaj, and I will just continue as much as I can. And really, it's a glorious example in that connection. And not just dying, but living a full life in devotion and in service.
And we are hearing of his, of his travels around the world and his wish to share with others. But in America, after Srila Gurudev disappeared and after a little while, then he took it on himself. He said, I'm going to go and visit all the devotees. Because so many things, I mean, after Gurudev passed away, many things happened and all sorts of things being said. And so Shruta Prabhu, he said, I'm going to go and visit all the devotees. And he asked for we used to have a mailing list. Anybody remember letters and, putting on stamps and typing out all the addresses, envelope by envelope, for several years, for maybe 3 invitations a year. So we had a mailing list, and then he asked me for the mailing list. And he drove in America, sometimes with a couple of devotees, maybe sometimes alone. But he basically was following the mailing list and was going to meet as many devotees as he could, go to talk with them, do some program in their house, just to go to in person, give some upliftment rather than all the gossip that comes up on the web here, there, and everywhere. And this way, at home as well as abroad, he was really the well-wisher of everyone. Hare Krishna.
I can tell one more story, but that will be the last from my side. It's a funny story that also shows his unique character. So Srila Govinda Maharaj prohibited him from driving in India, as you know, Maharaj.
And I know some more too, but carry on, yes.
So we had that Tata Sumo, which I'm sure you know about. I was in Calcutta at that time. So he left earlier, so he left me in Bangkok. I was going to follow him in a couple of days. So I arrived at the airport and I said, I knew about, he wanted to meet me. And I said, please don't come by car. And Govinda Maharaj would be happy. And Govinda Maharaj expressed to me on several occasions how much he was, not exactly, well, maybe a little bit disappointed because he was concerned about anything happening on the road and him being not familiar with the Indian driving. So he was careful, really caring about him so much. And then I'm coming and I'm seeing him there with Tata Suma, and I'm like, oh, that's it. And then immediately he says, don't tell to Gurudev. And I said, well, and how do you imagine that? And he said, well, if he's not going to bring it up, you don't talk about it. I said, okay, I'm not going to talk about it. First thing Govinda Maharaj asked me when I arrived, he said, Prabhu, how did you come? I said, Srila Prabhu picked me up. How did he come? So first was, how did I come? Now, did he come? Well, I said, well, he come by car. Which car? And I had to say, and Gurudev said, Prabhu, he's a Gunda. What can I do? I cannot control him. Anyhow, he had that special independent nature in him. But it did not diminish his, devotion to Govinda Maharaj. So it's just some unique pastimes between them.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Прекрасная история. Огромная благодарность.
Wonderful story.
Потому что мы на
Very
нашей
grateful
практике
that you are
хотим,
sharing with us.
ну как сказать, мы хотим тоже капельку
We also want
качеств
a drop of
обрести в
these
нашем
qualities
служении.
to get
Но
them in
я
our
понимаю,
devotional
что
service.
чтобы обрести эти
But I
качества,
understand
нужно
that in
служить,
order to get
не желать,
that, we must not desire these qualities. We must desire to serve these qualities. And that's why they are inspiring us so much, the qualities of all these Vaishnavas. And of course, Srila Prabhu, as you said, very unique person. So very grateful for these stories and these remembrances. And I have another question regarding envy. We were reading yesterday in our studio Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, and the 4 main verses of Bhagavad Gita and very many, very deep purports of Srila Maharaj. And in the line of that, one of the we must be for Krishna, not Krishna for us. We must be for Krishna. And the second was that in order to realize that, what was written in the purport, I mean, obviously we cannot realize that. It is very high. It is the level of our worship. But we must be envy-free. Nirmatsarana. Who is not envious? He can be a devotee of Krishna. So how can we be free of envy? What should we do to come to that, to stop envying?
Well, are you asking me? I mean, envy in its general understanding is it is envious of somebody else being better than you are, or having more qualities, having more money, having more fame, whatever it may be. And so looking to somebody else, oh, I wish I was like them, but not in a good way. But to see the example of the devotees, those who are giving a good example in the world, then it is not within that category of enviousness. Rather, we look to those persons and we must think those qualities we should have and don't have, but that is the ideal. That is the proper nature of a proper servitor. And if it were possible now to drill a hole through the wall and look through to Goloka Vrindavan, we will see such wonderful nature, because we've heard about it and we see through hearing, and we've heard again and again from Srila Gurudev, from Srila Guru Maharaj, from their books, from the recordings, again and again about the super nature of the residents of Goloka Vrindavan. So it is not enviousness to think, oh, I wish I could be there and in that association. That is healthy thinking, that we should be in the land of dedication, not the land of being self-centered. To use our energy for others, but others in particular means the Lord and his devotees. And then we are to participate in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, which is to use our energy. Still it is for the Lord and his devotees, because we are using our energy to please them, to introduce Mahaprabhu's message to the regular people in the world who don't have a direction in life. They don't have the direction of where to go or how to go. And Mahaprabhu says, tell everyone about Krishna. And Nityananda says, tell everyone about Mahaprabhu, chant Mahaprabhu's name. Actually, in one good thing we can share, but I'll have to do it in a roundabout way because I'm on a different machine. There is, let me just see, there is a recording, and this came from the Brazilians, of Shruta Shravarprabhu, being remembrance of his disappearance day yesterday. And that is, he had a radio interview in Brazil, and he's speaking English, and our dear Bhuvan Mohan Prabhu, who has also passed away, he was translating. But it is a very good interview, and you can feel the clarity of Shruta Shravarprabhu's presentation. And there he's giving some very fundamental but important emphasis, to how we need to share with others the good things which are available to us. And then to want good things means eternal, joyful, beautiful life. That is not being envious of those who have achieved that. Rather, that there's another word, not sure what it is, but it's where we are inspired to live a beautiful life of dedication. Then the question comes, how can I give my energy? What should I be doing? And this way, it is not within the material category. The material category of enviousness would be, oh, they're a better devotee than me. No, I won't have that. I'll try to defame them and I'll become better. That's not within the mind of a devotee. They take joy to see others blossoming, being good in devotional service. But to appreciate those good qualities in the devotees is healthy. Not that they're looking with that idea that, I want to be more than them so I can sit in a bigger seat. And in fact, the devotees don't want to sit in a bigger seat. This is also part of it. So you can't imitate, well, you can imitate. That's the difference between imitation and the real thing. Is it real gold or is it imitation gold? Is it a real diamond or an imitation diamond? So we have to be helped by those who know the symptoms of the genuine article. And that's where we get the pure devotees and those who are trained by the pure devotees, who've allowed themselves to be trained, because we need training. And then from them we can get the tips, the guidance of the process to go. So positive and progressive. Now I do just want to see, I'll send a link to this interview, and it may be translated into Russian on the website somewhere, I don't know. But I'll have to open another Zoom window to be able to put it in the chat box. That's the only thing. So I'll send it in a couple of minutes. Maybe Paramananpu could say something in the meantime. And we have lots of devotees, by the way, who've joined us in the meantime. So we're very happy to have more and more devotees gathered here, as well as in the recorded version. Those of you who are seeing in the recorded version. And Kumkum Devidasi is with us, but she's silently with us. She's maintaining her strength because we're going to have our Sunday program here in a short while. She said, we are not ignoring her. We're giving all honor because she is also blessed by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, and Srila Gurudev. But her request that I'll be silent today. So we're very happy to be joined with such good company. Ranga Devidasi, Priyanana Devidasi, Narayani Devidasi, Dana, Sadvi in Sweden, and Vadim and Vasil. Juvati, Hare Krishna, Lavanyamoy. So Juvati in Estonia and Lavanyamoy there, also in Latvia, somewhere nearby. Hare Krishna. Paramananda, would you like to say a word or two about the idea of the devotees are not envious, but they do appreciate and aspire for the qualities that we may be considered that we can be taken to that beautiful land of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Has Paramananda frozen? Japan. Oh, you're there. No, you're not there. Oh, you are there. There's two Paramananda Prabhus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's okay. There's going to be two B.R. Madhusudans in a moment, so I can send this link to the radio station.
But anyhow, I think perhaps this is the sign that the envious person shouldn't talk about absence of envy or importance of that. But you already covered it, Maharaj. I mean, envy is the original sin, the very reason why we are here and why we're suffering. So naturally, Srimad Bhagavatam states in the very beginning, Dharma Projita Kaitavota Paramo Nirmat Saranam Sata. Who can understand this message? The one who possesses no envy for others. Are you ready, Maharaj?
No, but maybe Suresh Krishna would like to give some feedback. Is your question answered, Suresh Krishna Prabhu?
Yes, Maharaj, I got the answer in that key that if we see some exalted qualities of devotees, we must try to serve that devotee and to glorify that quality and be happy that he has that quality. And if I feel that I have no that quality, I will just serve that devotee. So that is the answer I got. That's what I heard.
But also, it's not only the absence of envy is not only towards a devotee. It's towards everything. This should be the general mood. We shouldn't be envy to anyone. The devotees, the environment, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that kind of absence of envy is required to understand that message.
Da.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So in the chat box, maybe 3 times, you've got now the link to Shuta Shravarpur, Vaishnava Maharaj's radio interview. Because Tungarasa Devirasi, I think, put that twice, perhaps. And happy birthday to Juvati. Oh, Juvati, I just mentioned you. Happy birthday. Jai. Just after New Year, you see, so many reminders we get. Another year has passed and another year is coming. So we wish you all good things, Juvati. Every day, not just for the year, but every day. Hare Krishna. Yes, okay, so now you have no excuse not to have the link for the Shuta Sharaprabhu's talk. But I heard the whole talk for the first time ever. I hadn't heard it before. By the way, this radio interview, I heard this radio interview today, I mean, before lunch today, after our back to basics in the morning and after many things happening. But it's not a long interview, but it's straight to the point and very suitable for the public.
Also, Maharaj, I think you posted some of his talks on Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math website. And
We
quite
have.
a few, yes, quite a few coming from Thailand. And those talks were actually, quite a few were overheard by Govinda Maharaj himself. And he commented to me how much he appreciated the depth of his understanding of our Guru Varga's message. Really, he said it right after he finished his talk. One of them on Baladev's appearance, I believe, and quite a few others.
Yes, it's not just to give a talk, it's to satisfy Guru and to get some, we can say, certificate, recognition from the pure devotee. And how do we know who is a devotee? By that recognition from the pure devotees. So it is all interrelated. And really, it is quite astonishing how many verses he knew, and not as a parrot, just repeat a verse like we Savaraman Parityaja Mamikam Sharanam Praja, whatever it may be, not just as a repetition, but he would know the meanings and the words, etc. And he told me that actually he and another devotee, they joined in New York City, or they were in their very early days, if not exactly joined, but very early days, they were in New York City in the temple, Srila Prabhupada's, the ISKCON movement temple. And he said, as with all the new recruits into the mission at that time, I'm also one of those, then we had to wash the pots every day. I'm also one of those. So, washing pots. But he said this, and he said himself and the other devotee, he said, we just thought, well, what are we going to do while washing pots? And then they both thought, well, we'll learn some shlokas, some verses. And so he made, I don't know if it's called a flipboard or something, but he described to me, he said, so we made these shlokas, we wrote them out on some card, and then they would flip over on a reel, not a wheel, but with a binding perhaps. So while we're washing the pots, we're learning the shlokas together. And he said, first of all, he said, we didn't know if we could do it, because remember, it's a completely foreign, Sanskrit and Bengali, in case you hadn't noticed, is a completely foreign language to English and to many other languages too. And so Shruta said, we didn't know if we could learn the shlokas because it was completely different from everything we knew. But he said, then one by one, while washing pots, that's when I started to learn the shlokas. And then, as you heard, to support his family and also to help others and support the temple and donate to Gurudev. I mean, he earned money. Householders, they earn money. And he earned money driving a truck. And he was able to do that. And he said while he was driving the truck, he had that similar thing. And he said on the dashboard, he's learning shlokas while driving the truck. So he learned so many shlokas. And they were the ones that Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, and Srila Gurudev come back to all the while. There are quite a lot of shlokas, verses, which we will see being repeated. So he began with the more repeated verses, and then to some which particularly drew his attention, from Raghunath Das Goswami, etc. And really he knew those verses, but he knew what he was saying. And this is the point that Gurudev is always saying. We shouldn't just sing into the air. And similarly with shlokas, we shouldn't just recite a verse so we can show that we can recite a verse. We should be understanding what's being presented. And Gurudev and Shruta Prabhu used to be able to have that kind of conversation with each other where it's linked together and they're discussing the verses. And that was very rare, that there was somebody who could hear from Gurudev and be able to give the feedback, and they'd be able to then have another sloka and discuss how different of the greater charges in the past have shown in a different way, different features. And so this was very rare and a joy to Gurudev. He wants someone to speak to, to converse with. You can converse with many, but to have this kind of interaction, and Gurudev very happy.
Also, one of those qualities that you just described, Maharaj, which is all true and perfect. One thing is to learn shloka, to understand the meaning, to be able to explain the meaning of the shloka. But the whole different level is when you are in the presence of the guru, sadhu, the resident of the upper world, and you are able to complement his mood with a particular verse. That was also astonishing to witness.
Yes.
And somehow, it's a big comparison, but sometimes we draw these examples from our line from the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. That reminded a little bit the description of Gadadhar Pandit when he would, or Swarup Damodar Goswami, who would complement Mahaprabhu's mood with particular verses to elevate the mood or to calm him down. That always that kind of interaction reminded me about it.
And at the same time, Shuta Prabhu was a friend to the fallen. To the truly fallen, those who were addicts and this, that, and the other. He didn't shun anybody. He always was there to give encouragement and assistance.
Just like he said, I'm just a truck driver.
Hare Krishna. Anyway, actually we've had three happy days, because from the day before we've been having some remembrance of him due to some coincidences, hearing his voice the day before, and then by completely coincidence hearing the date. Yesterday was the 3rd here, and with you in Latvia, it was the 3rd of January. And so by coincidence, we just happened to be hearing Srila Gurudev speaking on the 3rd of January of 2007, in fact. And so anyway, lots of coincidences come together, but we've been remembering Shuta Prabhu, who became Bhakti Sharan Vaishnava Maharaj. And here, by the way, here in this recording, we've got him with Sripad Bhuvan Mohan Prabhu, who became Sripad Tapasvi Maharaj. Bhakti, I don't quite remember the title, but Sripad Tapasvi Maharaj. And he was another of those very sober, serious, focused, chaste devotees. And so they were a wonderful team also, Bhuvana Mohan Prabhu and Shuta Prabhu. Wonderful team. And also, unfortunately, not only Shuta Prabhu, he took sannyas and has passed away from the world, disappeared from our presence, but Bhuvana Mohan Prabhu, he also presently took sannyas and passed away from the world. So this recording, you can hear who is translating in this recording into Portuguese, because it's in Brazil, of course. That voice is of Bhuvan Mohan Prabhu. So it's very happy to be seated with them both and to hear that interview taking place. And the lady who's interviewing them, then she was asked very sensible questions, and they, of course, related to those questions and gave a very good introduction to Krishna consciousness, a reminder for us all of what we are doing. And perhaps somebody, maybe not this moment, already our time is up, but somebody can look on the web, see if you can find that translated into Russian, because many of the published items, for instance, like this, which is this is on YouTube, But many of these items, they have been translated into Russian and are available. And if not, then maybe one of you good souls, Hari Gopal Prabhu or others, could translate it into Russian because it's not long. And remember, I don't know, it's maybe 20 minutes or something, but half of that is Portuguese because of the translation. So it's not long, but it is substantial. Clear, happy, truthful, beneficial. Truthful, beneficial, and pleasing to hear. There we are. The three things that the qualities of speech that we should aspire to engage in. All right. Happy birthday, Juvati. We can see you now. And Simha Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Govinda Govinda. There you are. In Estonia, if any of you don't know them, they're now famous because we keep seeing them. Living in Estonia. Under snow, presumably, because Latvia is under thick snow. So you've got a little bit of winter. Suresh Krishna Babu. And you've got guests and visitors. I've only got...
Да, у нас гости Alina и Svetlana.
Yes, Alina and Svetlana are our guests. Svetlana was helping with the cooking and the offering. And also Govinda Chandra and Nikita, they were here. They left. Govinda Chandra Prabhu, you know him. You've met him in London.
Yes.
He's the husband of Tatiana. And today we have such a kirtan, more than usual. And we spent some time wonderfully. And it's wonderful that you have come to our program and we've touched on this topic, regardless of the fact that you have already been for 3 days, as you said, Maharaj, of remembrance of this personality. Very valuable for us to constantly remember such things, and it's wonderful to know that such personalities exist.
AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai, jai Shri Guru Gauranga Dharma Govinda Sundar Ji ki jai, Giriraj Govardhan ki jai, Shri Nitai Gauranga Ji ki jai, Jai Shri Guru Parampara ki jai, Guru Varga ki jai, Namacharya Shri Vyas Thakur ki jai, Tulasi Maharani ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya Vrindi ki jai, Jai Shri Bhaktiran Jan Madhusudan Maharaj ki jai, Jai Shri Paramananda Prabhu ki jai, all assembled devotees ki jai, Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo.
Jai Suresh Krishna Babu ki jai, and all the Latvian and Baltic states back to Vrinda ki jai, all the assembled devotees ki jai, and all the worldwide devotees ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavad, Dandavad.
Dandavad, devotees. Hari Gopal, спасибо за перевод. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Spasibo. Spasibo, Hari Gopal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Amra Ashchi. And now we're going to, after a short while, start our afternoon evening program on Sundays. Runs a little earlier here in Vila Govinda, in the sunlight, but it's been freezing. The pond has been frozen until maybe still just now, I'm not sure. So we are also freezing, but not under snow. Dandavat Ashchi.